T-Man 978 Chill Review. Hello everyone, T-Man 978 bringing you Transformers Generations Leader Class Jetfire. First we're going to look at the box because it's interesting. There's some nice artwork on the front / side. Right here we see that he's number 21 of 30 and the thrilling 30 here for the Transformers 30th anniversary last year. Back here we get to see his tech specs. If I clear that up, yep, you get to read that. And here's his bio and some of his features. But anyway, you can read that on your own time. But one thing I wanted to talk about as far as his box, it's huge. It is humongous for no apparent reason. Like, this is the current Leader Class boxes. I mean, they're close to the same height, but this is taller. And this is way thicker, even though the newer toys are probably a little bit more bulkier than Jetfire. And that's Combiner Wars Megatron's box. But anywho, let's get them out of the way. Now I want to talk about his instructions. I'm willing to bet a lot of people skipped my video on this, but if you did, or if you didn't, you're saying it again right now, his instructions are actually in color. We don't get that. But they went the extra mile and made this really G1 by making the instructions in color. Like, you can definitely, normally they have things like black, white, and different shades of reds on the instructions, but here you could just clearly see that there are a lot of different, it's totally colored in. You can see his cockpit is blue there, and back here you see that's a color picture of his jet mode. But anyway, let's bring the toy in here. I'm gonna start things off with Jetfire in robot mode since that's how he comes packaged anyway, but I really like the way he looks. But let me go into my issues with him right off top. Now, I don't have a ton of problems with him, but I think some things need to be mentioned. Like, he's a Leader Class figure. They hadn't given us a Leader Class figure in a while. And now that they brought Leader Class back, they have downgraded a lot. Like, for one, he is very, very hollow feeling. I mean, he feels nice and good enough, but as you can see, those legs right there, that is completely hollow. I don't know why they didn't do a cover right there, since this is two pieces merged together. They could have covered that right there. They could have took this inner flap and put it right there, but I'm not a toy designer. His wrist, he has no wrist swivel, and the back of the wrist is hollow, and his bicep is hollow. The back of his leg is hollow, but that might be just due to transformation. Now, I've been collecting Transformers for a long time, so I'm used to it. Let me bring out some other toys to show you what I'm talking about. Here's my Ultra Class Universe Power Glide. And as you can see, they are very close to the same height, whereas Leader Class used to tower over these guys. And he's practically almost the same weight because he has some batteries inside, thicker plastic, and he also has electronic lights and sound, something that I'm not gonna lie, I don't miss, because it made toys have weird proportions. Like, look at those two big thrusters. If you didn't have those batteries in there, he probably could have had a better body design. But they're super close to the same size and height and weight. Let me bring out an old Leader Class toy. Now, this is Revenge of the Fallen / Hunt for Decepticon Starscream. And as you can see, he is quite a bit taller. All the Leader Class toys were around this height. So when people got a hold of this guy, the older collectors, you can see why they had a problem. But newer collectors, they wouldn't know the difference. But this guy is massive and huge. Has so many details and points of articulation that this guy doesn't have. Not saying that he has great articulation, but he has a lot of moving parts. And he even has lights and sounds too. I'm sure I showed these guys off together, but just to round things off, here's a current day leader class toy. So, yeah. I mean, depending on what they do, if they shift around the plastic and whatnot, they can make a slightly taller leader class figure, but he's really roughly around the same weight and size as JETFIRE. So, it is what it is nowadays. One more kind of complaint, but I'm okay with it. He has a lot of chrome. I mean, it's good, but I don't like it at the same time. I mean, it's almost like too much chrome. Now, in this jetpack, it's better because he doesn't break it up with the thrusters right there. But these guns right here, his handgun and these guns right here is totally red chrome. It doesn't bother me too much now that I have it, but everyone was expecting to get weapons that were painted black here on the tips right there, because that was the promotional artwork they showed us, but the end result, we didn't get that. But it's not a deal breaker for me. It's still okay. But anyway, outside of all those things, I really like this guy. He came out really well. Like, he has a lot of detail right there in his gut. You can see the inner workings of his robot mode. And you can see that Autobot logo, which is plain, but it's okay. There's a lot of panel details and a lot of details that would make you think SKYFIRE from the old cartoon. Let me do a close-up on his face. Which came out really nice. I mean, outside of those things I complained about, he's close to being a masterpiece without being a masterpiece. Let me turn him around. One thing people might hate is this cockpit on the back. When you think Transformers, they're supposed to integrate these parts into their robot mode, but they went ahead and cheated, which I don't hate, but that is something for you to know. Feet. They're permanently designed to be standing in wide-legged stances. I mean, you could put his feet together and he still stands up well, but they're really designed, they're slanted to stand like that. And he has no ankle pivot. So let's get into articulation. He can look up. These antennae bump back there a little bit. He can look down a little bit. And of course he can do 360. His shoulders go out like that. And they would do 360 on this little soft ratchets, but he bumps into the wings. He has bicep swivel, and he has a more than 90-degree bend right there. Nothing at the wrist, unfortunately. The waist, he has no waist joint, but his hips go out that much before bumping. And he can kick forward that much, but his crotch plate gets in the way. And he goes back. Thigh swivel, revealing some detail in his hips. I don't know if anybody will really like, but it's there. And his knee, more than a 90-degree bend. I like that. His ratchets, and he's so thin and his ratchets are so tight. It's easy to get him into some, oh boy, this don't usually happen. Usually he stays mostly pegged together. But as I was saying, he can get into some good flight poses. And if I had a stand, that would be awesome. But I'm wiggling him around, and you can see he's not bending. Of course, if I do it hard, you can get him to bend a little bit, but these ratchets are nice and tight. And that's even a good pose. Anywho, let's get into some of his features. This gun. It has a hair trigger. Whenever you touch this gun, try not to touch this little black thing because And that thing shoots off rather far, which is good and bad. But look at this missile. Pay attention, because eventually, if you own this toy, you're going to see this thing laying around somewhere. And you're going to be wondering, whose missile is this? It's JETFIRE. Because it will shoot off repeatedly. What else? His thrusters, if you move this back and rotate them, you can get more of a G1 toy feel, because his thrusters were actually pointed up. Only problem is they're a little bit too high. Of course, all the weapons are removable. What the heck? This thing just doesn't want to stay on. They come off, revealing more hollow parts. They come off down here. And he can actually form another weapon. If you take the bigger pieces, put them in here. Like this here. This, oh, there goes my missile. That there. And this here, and now he has a big ultra weapon. I guess it's like a giant crossbow of some sort. You can have him holding that in his hand. Looks kind of ridiculous, but whatever. That's an option. His face. This faceplate could come off, revealing something people really love. Slide forward, come on. Try not to break the antenna. But now you get to see his SKYFIRE look from the cartoon. Now he does have clear transparent plastic right there and in his forehead crest, meeting up with the eyes, but the light piping isn't all that good at all. Let's do a complete side view right there. There's the back of his head. Anywho, let's get the weapons back on and transform him. Before we transform him though, one more feature with this gun. You can take his mask. They have little slots, mold flaps right there that can slot into a groove right here, which is a bit tricky a little bit, but it sits there nice. So if you don't want JETFIRE to lose that, you can always put it on his gun, which if you're paying attention to it, looks really weird. Anywho, let's get to this transformation, which can be a little bit tricky. It's easy, tricky at the same time. Let's go ahead and turn the face around. Mostly it's just getting parts out of the way. So let me try to remember. I believe you put the legs like this. Put the foot up like that into the back of his leg. Unpeg the arm and unpeg it from right there on his body. Just basically get it out the way for now. Go ahead and unhinge all this. Bring the wings down. Bring this out of the way. Unhinge the wings up here. And slot them into place up there. Now we bring these shoulders back. Connect them together. Squeeze right there. Go ahead and rotate the hands this way. Raise the legs up like this. And there are some pegs right here and peg holes right there. You have to bend the knee and the leg a little bit to slot them into the peg hole. Now that's pretty much done. Make sure the hands don't get in the way. You have to move this out the way a little bit. And this isn't all the way up. You want these to be all the way up. Now this part is tricky. You want to rotate this up, bring up these flaps on both sides. And you want to bend this up as far up as it can get right there without bending this part, because it doesn't bend and it will definitely feel like you're going to break it. Bring them up as high as you can get until that fits into place. Bring these down. Now bring the cockpit down. You can straighten up the guns down here. Then pretty much you're done. He is a nice jet. I like to lift these wings up right here. But he's really nice. It would be nice if this gun could peg in right there, but it can't. You could put it here. Okay, get in there. It's hard to do with one hand. But of course, that looks a bit silly. You can also peg it to the wings. Or you could peg it to any of these guns, but then he can't land. He has landing gear up here and wheels back here. And actually he rolls really well. The wings are adjustable. They can come back like this. And I guess it could be in like some sort of supersonic mode. This is removable, so it can look more like just a regular plane jet. And of course the weapons are removable. And one neat thing, when you remove these guns back here, he still has the landing gear. The cockpit. Cockpit is hard to open, especially when you just cut your fingernails not too long ago. But he does have some details in there. He can almost fit one of the Masterpiece Seeker pilots in there, but their legs don't go all the way down. If you lift it up, they can fit in there, but then the cockpit has to stay up like this, which is silly. So there's no use. He's a ton of paint, as you can see. Soft nose cone. He has some painted guns right there. These vents are painted black, and you can actually see back there and see into some details. You can see all his robot parts under there. What else? Any other painted details? Here's his thrusters back there. And just to show you, even though it doesn't really serve any purpose, this can rotate in jet mode. Maybe he can shoot behind him or something like that. But I didn't show off this detail right there in the front of his jet intakes, which is cool. But all in all, he's a nice looking robot. And a nice looking jet. The jet is lovely. Anyway, this has been Leader Class Generations Jetfire. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, share, definitely share. Until next time, T-Man978 out of here.